Welcome to Razzball Radio Fantasy Sports Network. Guess what? We made it to Denver, 13,000 miles, 35 states, and the District of Columbia. I have seen a lot of America, but now we are here at Sports Authority Field at Mile High in Denver. This is our last draft stop, so we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos. Let's just let everyone see the beautiful stadium there. It's gorgeous. Denver's a great city, great sports town, beautiful parks. All the parks are right down here, Pepsi Center, Coors Field. But let's talk about Peyton Manning. This is his city now. What are the odds he isn't the number one quarterback at the end of the season?
A lot of people would say slim to none, but last year was
We call you Slim.
my nickname actually is Skinny Burrito. We can save that for another story another time. But it's going to be slim to none chance that it happens, but at worst, I could see him falling back to the pack. Last year was a phenomenal year.
It was epic what they did. They're not going to repeat what they did.
No, they're not going to repeat. I mean, but you can say that almost any time you have a guy that has that kind of season. It's not very often a guy throws 7 touchdown passes in a game. It just doesn't happen very often in history, although it happened twice last year. Anyway, with Peyton, it's the same old. I can't see him falling outside of the top 3, but I could see some regression back for the plain and simple fact the team has done a lot to improve. Last year there was a lot of barn burners. They maybe don't need to do that this year because of the improvements that they've made. So maybe he's able to kind of slow the pace down near the end of the games, whereas before you used to have to chuck it a little bit.
And that's exactly the point, I think, because like you mentioned, they've made so many additions specifically to the defense. This is actually a sleeper. It's not a sleeper defense. This is going to be a very good defense. So they're going to, like you said, there's not going to be as many shootouts. They're not going to have to rely on him as much to keep the team competitive. But, yeah, listen, he's probably not going to slide out of the top 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks unless someone really makes a big jump up. So let's move right into the running backs then, starting with Monty Ball. Last year there was buzz that he might be the starting running back. Didn't happen. No, Sean Marino had a great season, again, because everyone had to respect that passing game. You've also got Ronnie Hillman and C.J. Anderson in the mix. How do you see that shaking down? Is there a chance that Monty Ball can just plug and play into that role and have the same type of year that Marino did last year?
I do think we're talking about 2 different guys. Moreno.
Yeah, because they are 2 different guys.
Moreno knew his role, and in all honesty, that's what got him into the good graces of the team and gave him an opportunity. Doesn't matter who you put back there; the holes are going to be wide open, and you're going to be able to take advantage of them. Moreno, he hit him with his head down, running, and it's easy to do and get 5 yards when there's those kind of gaping spots made by Peyton for you. That said, I don't see Hillman being able to establish himself in that kind of role.
Ball.
No, I meant you can't see that Hillman doing that over Ball.
No, it's not even close. Why are you even bringing that up, man? What's going on? You Mile High already?
Already. Well, it is Colorado. Anyway.
Because we're Mile High, so you're really sucking wind here. There's not as much oxygen. You can feel it. Yeah. Little heady.
That's exactly what we're talking about. But anyway, so what I was going to say, though, is that Monty Ball is definitely going to be the guy to run with this year. Hillman may get in there a little bit, maybe in the passing downs, just to protect Peyton, just because Monty Ball is still not quite there as a pass pro running back, but he's still easily going to be at very least a low-end RB1 for this year.
All right, we're going to get to the wide receivers because it's a very interesting position here. But real quick, Julius Thomas, no one is usurping him as a tight end here. He is the 3rd tight end off the board this season. I'm curious because this is one of those basketball guys who's developing. So you'd think he would take a leap forward, but with that said, he always has some nagging injuries. What are the chances he's going 3rd. It's hard for him to jump up from there. But will he get as much red zone time as he did last year?
With what's happened over in the wide receivers that we'll talk about a little bit, I actually, it's a chain of command thing. They already lost Eric Decker, as we know. He's moved on this offseason, so that was already going to improve his target totals. I actually see him being able to sustain. Injuries are hard to predict. It's very hard to kind of gauge from year to year what you're going to get in that regards with those guys. But where he's going out on the board, in all honesty, is a cheap Jimmy Graham to me. I can see them all, him, Gronk, and Graham, as being almost the same player when it's all said and done, especially here because of the volume. And I do think he ends up sliding up and becoming that secondary receiver behind.
Especially with the Welker suspension, because, of course, Welker got suspended 4 games for allegedly Papa Molly. So let's talk now about the wide receivers. Obviously, you've got DT here, Demaryius Thomas. You've got Emmanuel Sanders, who I think is going to have a great season this year. Welker's going to miss the first 4 games. You've also got the rookie Lattimore, who's a bit buzzy. I don't know how many touches he's going to get. Break down the position for me.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, DT, he's going to be getting the ball a lot.
Might be the number 1 receiver in football this year.
I've taken him over Calvin Johnson in a couple of drafts, just to kind of vary up my positioning this year. But it's not a crazy thought. Again, when Decker leaves, that kind of opens that game up for him to be the guy here. And as much as people have talked about Emmanuel Sanders, I do like him, but I see him mainly as a field stretcher. I do think he's going to have some of those explosive games, but I don't think he's going to have anything close to a Decker type year. So if anyone's out there drafting him, I wouldn't hang my hat on getting something like that from him at all. Maybe a wide receiver 3. Chances are with Latimer, it's going to take a while to get him worked into the system, to get comfortable with them. Peyton Manning, he has his guys. Andre Caldwell actually is one of those guys, even though he's not that great of a guy in terms of.
All right, well, yeah. So we're just for time's sake, we're gonna move past Caldwell because I want to talk about Wes Welker because obviously he's gonna miss again the 4 games with the suspension, having all the concussion issues, and obviously he's concussed if he's allegedly Papa Molly. So Wes Welker, I mean, you want to talk about a guy whose stock was up and down. I mean, it was like a roller coaster. Real quick, anything out of Welker this year?
I actually think because of this 4-game suspension, he's definitely going to be worth a flyer in a trade type because you're going to be hitting that point in the fantasy season where you're 4 games in, the guy's desperate and he wants to get rid of him. I'll always take a guy that Peyton's going to throw to any chance I get. I do think there's definite downside, but if I can get him for cheap or free after that team that drafted him is sucking wind, I'll take him.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, you can't forget that, and that's another thing for the defense here. Teams suck wind when they come up here. I mean, you are a mile off the ground. You really do feel the difference. So defenses get tired out. It's part of the reason I think, too, Peyton had such a good year last year. Okay, my sugar daddy of the day brought to you by ArrangementFinders.com. The Denver Bronco that I think is going to grossly outperform their average draft position this year is actually Emmanuel Sanders. And you know what? I understand the points you made, and it's fair, but I think what you are going to see is he's going to have 2 or 3 150-yard 1 or 2 touchdown games, and he's going to be one of those guys that when he is in your lineup and does have a big game, he's going to be really great for you. And when he doesn't have that big of a game, he's still going to be a useful player. So Emmanuel Sanders, really like him this year. Okay, this is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be back right after this. We're going to talk about some things we're going to be looking at this Sunday and Monday when the season finally kicks off.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on ArrangementFinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on ArrangementFinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back, Razzball Radio. Nick and Sky with the Fantasy Sports Network Mobile here in Denver, the Mile High City. What we're going to do right now is go through specific things that we are looking at in each game for each team this weekend, Sunday, Monday. We're going to do this really rapid fire real quick because we want to get all the games on the schedule in. First game, kick it off for me. Sky, who are we talking about?
We're talking about Carolina and Tampa Bay.
What are you looking for on the Panthers side?
I'm looking directly at Newton. He's been dinged up all preseason, and he's been slowly decreasing in rushing yards over his years in the league. I want to see if he's going to be breaking outside with all those injuries going on.
I'm going to be specifically looking at the line play for Carolina because if they look as bad as they did during the preseason, it might be a long year for Cam Newton in that offense. On the Tampa Bay side, what specifically are you looking at?
I'm looking directly at Doug Martin. They improved the offensive line, and they said he's going to be a 3-down back. I want to see that play out, and I want to see it be fruitful for him.
Okay, I want to see how many targets Mike Evans gets, specifically red zone targets. Are they going to go to him early and often with all the defensive attention going over to Vincent Jackson? Next game up is the Cardinals and Chargers. What are you looking at on the card side?
I'm looking directly at Palmer and that aerial attack. I want to see it. I want to see that going gangbusters this year, and I want to see Fitz doing well in the slot and Floyd getting it out wide. I want to see it go off, and it should happen game 1.
And one of the things I'm going to be looking at specifically is the offensive line play of the Cardinals. Are they going to be as improved as I think they potentially could be? Because that is going to affect 2 potential massive game breakers this year in Ellington and Floyd. What about on the Chargers side? What are you keeping your eyes on?
Looking directly at Donald Brown, I want to see him be getting touches week one because I do believe as the season progresses that he ends up being the one of the lead backs there or becomes a borderline timeshare with him.
All right, for the Chargers, I want to see Ladarius Green. Is he going to get opportunities and targets specifically in that first game? Okay, third game on the schedule is
Buffalo at Chicago.
What do you want to see for the Bills, or what are you looking at specifically for the Bills?
I'm looking directly at E.J. Manuel. He's been surrounded by tons of talent. I want to see if he can actually capitalize on it. The Bears' defense is weak. He should be able to do it, and if he can't, we need to see Orton soon.
And I want to see the distribution, the ball distribution to the running backs. Is C.J. Spiller going to get the majority? Are we going to see Bryce Brown? How does Fred Jackson fit in? What about for the Bears? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at Jay Cutler. He didn't have a full season last year. He missed some of the cupcake games that Josh got in on. So I'd like to see what he looks like for a full season, but especially this first game, he should definitely go off. This should be a great aerial attack and with the Bears this year.
And when I'm watching that game, I want to see who the third guy in the mix, third pass catcher, not Matt Forte, in the mix is going to be after Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, because that's going to be really interesting going forward. Is there someone there maybe we've been sleeping on that we've missed? What's the next game up, boss man?
We got New Orleans at Atlanta.
What do you want to see from the Saints? What are you looking at specifically for the Saints?
I'm looking directly at Cooks. I'm going to be watching him all game. I had a preposterous prediction of 100 receptions.
Crazy.
Boy's got to live up to it. I got to see him do it.
All right, now I want to see, again, ball distribution among the running backs there. Kiri Robinson, Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram. Wait, there's more. Who's going to actually get the touches there? I don't want anything to do with that mess, but you never know. Maybe they change it up this year. What about on the Falcons side?
I'm looking directly at Devonta Freeman. I want to see how many carries he gets week one. I do believe he's going to end up cutting into Steven Jackson's time sooner rather than later, and hopefully it starts week one.
I want to see Julio Jones. Does he look dynamic? Does he look ready to catch 90, 100 balls? Because he could do that. He was off to an amazing start before the injury. Is he finally healthy and fresh and ready to go? Because if so, he could be the number one receiver in football this year. Next game on the schedule, sir.
We got Cincinnati at Baltimore.
Who are you looking at on the Bengals side?
I'm looking at Jeremy Hill. I want to see him be the lead rusher by the end of the year. He's the main reason I didn't draft Giovanni Bernard anywhere because I do believe he's going to slowly slide into being that third down passing back, and I'm going to want to see Jeremy Hill taking it at the goal line.
I want to see Tyler Eifert. This is a guy who's not owned hardly anywhere. I think I just did a double negative. But anyway, Tyler Eifert, is he going to get the targets and the receptions, specifically in the red zone? Because everyone's talking Sanu with Marvin Jones out. I think Eifert has a chance to emerge this year. What about on the Ravens side?
I'm looking at Joe Flacco, that offense. They brought in a new offensive coordinator. He's been a pretty mediocre quarterback for fantasy purposes, maybe a fill-in at best. I want to see him improve this year and become a fantasy elite. Maybe not NFL elite, but a fantasy elite guy.
I want to see Bernard Pierce. With these two games, he's going to get the start. Is there any chance that he can run it with the job? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm going to be watching him against that tough front seven. Next game up, Brock.
We've got Indy at Denver.
Indy, hey, we're here. We're in Denver. Tell me, Broncos, what are you looking at?
I'm going to be looking directly at Hillman. I do want to make sure that the appendectomy for Moneyball doesn't cut into his time back there. I do expect him to be involved in third down situations, but hopefully it's not more than that.
All right. I want to see how they're going to spread the ball around to the wide receiver, specifically Emmanuel Sanders. On the Colts side, I'll go real quick. I'm looking to see, does Dwayne Allen get those red zone targets that I think he's going to get? Might be a sleeper tight end. Who are you looking at for the Colts?
I'm actually going to be looking directly at the wide receivers. You've got out with the old and with the new possibly going on. I'm wondering if it's going to be Wayne.
And you just stole mine. You can't do that. Let's move along to the next game. Next game on the schedule is
the Giants versus Detroit.
Okay, what are you looking at for the Giants?
I'm looking directly at Eli. Last year was horrendous, and he's looked really bad in the preseason with the new offensive changes. I need to see him come out well for me to be happy with the picks I've made on the Giants.
And this is supposed to be quick. Hey, you're writing a book. Andre Williams, how is he going to be? Is he going to be used? Is he going to be effective? What about on the other side for the Lions? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at Golden Tate. Everyone's calling him a PPR sleeper. I haven't drafted him anywhere. I want to see if I'm wrong.
Yeah, absolutely good one. Eric Ebron, is he going to get in the mix right away? And if so, can he catch the ball? That was also a problem he had in college. Next game up, real quick.
We've got apologies.
You're out of games. Well, I'll remind you while he's looking that up, because I'm prepared. Sportsvault.net. You can still lock up your league fees for free. Let someone else do the collecting for you. What's the next game?
Yep. We've got Washington at Houston.
Okay. What do you want to see? What are you looking for specifically with the Skins?
I'm looking directly at Alfred Morris. There's been a lot of talk of Halou taking over third down. Makes me worried as a owner of him.
Jordan Reed, are you going to get the targets? Are you going to stay healthy? What about for Houston?
Oh, that defense. That should go gangbusters. I want to see it this first weekend.
Absolutely. And for me, for Houston, I want to see when Arian Foster's getting a breather, which running back is it going to be Grimes? Is it going to be Blue? Who's actually going to get the opportunity? Okay, we are in Denver. We have another segment coming up. We've got some more. We're going to go through the rest of this. Specifically, Week 1, the stuff we're looking at very specifically, because Week 1 is such a critical week for planning out the rest of your fantasy football season. This is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network, back right after this.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on ArrangementFinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on ArrangementFinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back, Fantasy Sports Network. Nick and Sky here in Denver, Mile High City. We are going through the slate of games and looking specifically at one thing for each team that we really want to keep an eye on during these games. What is the next game up on the schedule, boss man?
We've got Tennessee at Kansas City.
Okay, for the Chiefs, for me, I'm going to be looking to see who the second pass catcher is there after Dwayne Bowe. If it's Travis Kelce and he gets a lot of opportunities, could be a big year. What about for you with the Chiefs?
Due to Mark Collins when we visited Kansas City, I'm going to be looking at DeAnthony Thomas. Apparently, he's going to be a big part of that secondary team whenever Jamal Charles isn't on the field.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. For the Titans, I'm going to see specifically how many touches is Sean Green going to get, specifically, though, between the 20s, because I think he's going to get red zone opportunities, but between the 20s, is he going to cut into Bishop Sankey's burn? All right, next game up, boss man. Oh, wait, you got to give me a Titan. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'll give you Justin Hunter. Everyone's been talking about him all preseason. You know, he's been deemed a sleeper. I want to see him live up to that potential. I want to see a guy come straight out of the gates and become a wide receiver 2 on my team.
Okay, absolutely. Next game up, boss.
We've got New England at Miami.
Okay, for me, for the Patriots, I want to see, does Gronkowski look healthy? Is he going to look dynamic? Is he going to be 50% of the Gronk we knew, 70%, 80%? That's going to be the key takeaway from that game for me. What about you with the Patriots?
I'm looking directly at Timothy Wright. I actually think he has the opportunity to be the secondary receiver behind Gronk in terms of Brady's targets this year, and it's going to start this game 1 with Gronk supposedly being limited for week 1.
I'm going to be watching for the Dolphins the line play, because obviously with Pouncey still out for probably about 6 more weeks, how are they going to do, and is it going to allow the running backs to actually be fantasy relevant this year? What about you with the Dolphins?
I'm going to be watching Ryan Tannehill. I've been kind of stumping for him for the last couple of years, and I think he's finally going to be putting an offense that he's going to be able to gel well with his team in, and I'm really excited. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year.
All right, what about the next game, boss? What do we got?
We have Oakland at New Jersey.
Oh, that's going to be fun. He means the Jets, Jets. For me, on Oakland's side, the specific thing I want to see, does Maurice Jones-Drew have any juice left?
And for me, I'm looking directly at Andre Holmes. He hasn't been talked about that much this preseason, especially.
It's like 4% owned.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking.
Should be corrected, people. Sorry.
I'm looking at Derek Carr and seeing if he's going to gel with him. It was with McGloin last year. Kind of get it going with Carr too.
Okay, what about for the Jets? Me specifically, I want to see Geno Smith another year under his belt. Is he going to be relevant as a super flex quarterback or a two-league quarterback, or maybe even a top 12 to 15 quarterback this year? What about you with the Jets?
I'm looking at Chris Ivory. Everyone's been talking about CJ ? K, but Chris Ivory is still the ground and pound running back that fits their style in New York so well. I want to see him getting a lot of touches, especially at the goal line this week.
Okay, next game on the schedule.
We've got Jacksonville at Philadelphia.
Okay, Jacksonville. I'm actually be watching the defense, and I've been saying it all preseason. I think there's a chance that's a sleeper defense. I don't expect them to not give up a lot of points against Chip Kelly and that Philadelphia offense, but I want to see how they actually play, and is Gus Bradley getting that unit together? Who are you looking at on the Jaguars?
I'm going to be looking at Allen Hurns. They're going to have to throw to keep up with the Eagles in this game, and that's going to be a great chance for this rookie to display his ability. He's been talked about as a deep sleeper. This is going to be the game that proves whether or not it's worth it with Haney.
All right, for me with the Eagles, I want to see how much opportunity is Riley Cooper going to get. Is he going to be used a lot? And the reason I ask that, this is a guy, because a lot of people don't like him, and that's fair enough, who was just dropping off draft boards, if even drafted. I mean, he went for over 808 touchdowns last year. Riley Cooper, keep an eye on him week 1. What about you with the Eagles?
I want to see how they utilize Sproles. We know he's a pass-catching back, but I'm also, in that respect, wondering how it's going to affect LaShawn McCoy and his numbers. And since he's been going as a number 1 back, how much is Darren Sproles going to cut into that time he gets out there on the receptions?
All right, next game, let me guess. Cleveland-Pittsburgh?
He's a clairvoyant.
Okay. For me, with the Browns, I want to see Tate, West, maybe Kroll. Is there going to be a timeshare there? Is this Tate's job until he gets hurt, or is there a chance that other running backs are going to get in the mix? Who are you looking at in the Browns game?
I'm looking directly at we've got Jordan Cameron. He's going to be the number 1 target, and he might be the only target for them. I want to see how that plays out. He was drafted as a 5 or a 6, number 6 tight end, and I'm wondering if he's going to be able to play up to that with that kind of pressure and coverage.
Okay, for me on the Pittsburgh side, I want to see if Dre Archer gets into the game at all in a Dynasty League. Just picked him up. Really interesting guy, super fast. I don't know if he's going to be relevant this year, but I want to see if Pittsburgh gets him in the mix right away. What about for you with the Steelers?
I want to see Wheaton. It's year 2. This is his chance. Kotcher's no longer there, who ended up taking up a big part of the passing game there last year. I want to see him step up into that number 2 role behind Antonio Brown.
Next up, Minnesota at St. Louis. For me, with the Vikings, I want to see what North Turner does with Cordarrelle Patterson. That's simple. You?
Yeah, for me, I've got Gray Jennings. He's being touted as a sleeper. I want to see if Matt Castle can make a connection with him.
All right, for me, with the Rams, I want to see who's the second running back there. Do we see any Trey Mason? Does Benny Cunningham cut into the time? What about you with the Rams?
I'm looking at that Bradford loss. I'm wondering if they do what they did last year, which is really slow down the offense and shut it down to a run only, or if we're still going to get a passing game out of there.
And that could happen with that defense. Is that it? Did we cover all the games? Oh, San Fran, Denver. This is going to be an epic one. For me, with the 49ers, does Carlos Hyde get any touches? And also on the Cowboys side, Gavin Escobar, undrafted. No one's talking about him. Witten's getting older. This guy is a skilled playmaker. Give me the 2 for you in that game.
Looking directly at Kaepernick, I'm wondering if the San Fran defense is going to be able to hold it down. I don't think they're going to be able to. He's going to have to expand his passing game. So I'm going to be really interested to see how well he's able to handle taking on that much pressure. And on Dallas side, I'm looking at Lance Dunbar. I want to see him become Sproles light when he was with the Saints, and I do think he has the opportunity to do it.
All right, get out of the shot just for a second because, of course, we've been playing a lot of DraftKings this year. Sign up using promo code Razzball to get a first-time deposit match and an entry into the Sunday games we're going to be playing. And you can come back, Sky. You want that San Fran-Dallas game. You want to talk about a stack on both sides. Holy cow, that is going to be a barn burner. Bro, we did it, man. We got one more draft to do. This is the last one. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We are going to have a great time in Denver. I'm excited. You excited?
I'm on it.
All right. This is Nick. Sky. This is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network, the last stop on Razzball's 32 fantasy football drafts, 32 days, 32 NFL cities, powered by, of course, Fantasy Sports Network. I'll be back regularly on the show. Comes back Monday to Friday, but this is the last road show, guys, so I survived. We'll see you on Monday. We'll talk a little football.